I know one story that I mean, shoot, we're almost an hour into this, and we haven't even touched on this yet. But talking, you were talking about the history and things like that. You found a pretty incredible token, which I really want to hear the story about, and I want everybody else to hear the story about as well, of course. But tell us a little bit about this token that kind of relates up to Cheyenne.
So I knew that the stagecoach lines ran through Colorado. I mean, the trails. There are lots of
Oh yeah.
trails out here. You've got the Oregon Trail, you've got the Cherokee Trail, you've got the Overland Trail. I really, when I started to get into history and look for places to hunt, these trails kept piquing my interest. I said, okay, I've got to go out and hit these trails. Well, I discovered very quickly that the trails themselves are not a great place to hunt because that's where people were moving. They weren't dropping stuff on the trail. They
Right.
had everything strapped down. They were, it was where they stopped. That's where the good stuff is. So I said, okay, where are these old stagecoach stations? Well, I know a few of them, there's nothing left. There's a few where just the foundation is left. And then you've got Virginia Dale, which is still really well preserved. I think it's one of the only original stagecoach stations around here that's well preserved. They've got a historical group that looks after it up there. That was kind of off limits. Long story there. But I finally found a location after a lot of research. I just said, okay, I've had it. I'm tired of being shy and timid. I'm just going to go knock on some doors. And so I found this home. I knocked on the door, no answer. Went to the neighbor's house, no answer. I left them both a letter that I printed out that introduces myself, talks about the YouTube channel. Uh, something to just kind of legitimize. I'm not just some jerk off the street who wants to go treasure hunting and dig holes in your yard. I'm trying to preserve history here. So I go to the neighbor on the other side, and she luckily answered. And I said, do you know who owns this house? I understand this is a historical property. She said, yes, I own it. I said, well, great, great. She said, now it's a rental. She said, I'll have to talk to the tenant. He's kind of a private guy. He may not want you digging in the yard. I said, oh boy, can you just veto if he says no? I was like, I finally tracked down this place. I finally get permission. I get the thumbs up from the homeowner, but it's still a rental. So 24 grueling hours go by. Okay, here's where the story gets really weird. I got a call the next day. So I knew the tenant's name. I got a call. We'll call him John, just for privacy's sake. John calls me up. My day job, for transparency, is I repair computers and I make house calls. And I get this call from John, and I said, okay, I'll come out to your house and I'll help you with your computer. I said, John, what city are you in? He tells me the city, and I said, well, that's weird. I said, John, what's your address? He tells me his address. I said, shut up. Shut up. I said, I was at your house yesterday. And he goes, what? I said, I was just at your house yesterday. I said, hear me out. I said, did you get a note on your door from somebody asking to metal detect your yard? He said, oh, yeah. Was that you? And I'm going, wait a minute. Wait. So you didn't call me because of the note I left? He said, no. He said, I called my regular computer guy, but he doesn't make house calls. They referred me to you, referred to me. So this other computer store gave him my number and said, oh, call Michael. He makes house calls.
Oh my gosh.
You've got to be kidding. And again, everyone I've told this story to said, you got to go buy a lottery ticket. I mean, the odds are off the charts. Oh, but wait, there's more. I'll tell you another story later. So long story short, the guy says, oh, yeah. I said, you can come detect here. I don't care. I said, okay, great. I'll come over tomorrow. I'm going to fix your computer, and I'm going to start digging holes in your yard.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this is a win-win. He gets his computer fixed. I get to film for YouTube on a historical property. I mean, I was ecstatic. And within, I think, 30 minutes, I pulled out an Indian. And I'm like, oh, this is awesome. But after about 3 days going out there, I realized there's something wrong. I'm not finding anything from the time period that I want. Indian penny's great. It's certainly not enough for an episode on YouTube. I'm doing something wrong. Well, luckily, on the third day, a neighbor came over to visit. And long story short, there, he basically says, the old stagecoach station was up close to the road. I'm like, well, son of a, I've been digging, where the current house is. I've been digging
Right.
and this property is really cool. Not only was there an old stagecoach station, and this was a home station. And a home station was where, you could stop, you could get something to eat, you could spend the night. You could kind of jump off the stagecoach and spend the night if you wanted to take a break, and then jump on the next stagecoach when it became available. But the post office was also on this site. So, I mean, you talk about a gold mine for history. Well, here I finally, 15 hours into hunting this site, I get the clue, you're looking in the wrong spot. So I went straight up to the front of the property, up close to the road. Within 5 minutes, I pulled out my first seated Liberty. Got sat right there.
Wow.
I was dumbfounded. Like, it was a sigh of relief, but also, wow. For those who don't know, finding your first seated Liberty coin is a big deal. So it was a big deal for me. And then I probably pulled up another piece of ammunition, and then I pulled out this very large, what I thought initially was silver. It had that silver tarnish to it. You talk about wanting to run into the woods. This thing was huge. It was heavy. I went, oh my God. And I made the mistake of grabbing the spray bottle and just started squirting it down like a complete noob. Realizing later that it was bronze. You shouldn't do that. Or brass, rather. It's brass. Yeah. Don't spray down your brass and copper. Anyway, I got into the sunlight and I'm just trying to wrap my head around what I'm holding here, and I see a wagon on this thing.
A wagon.
Like, you've got to be kidding me. I kind of knew what it was, and as I started to decipher more writing on it, I went, oh my goodness, this is an advertisement for a wagon company out of what I thought was Cheyenne. I later found out the wagon company was based out of Chicago, but whole long story there. I just went, wow. The weirder backstory to this is when I initially went onto this property, I had two hopes. One is I would find something valuable. Everybody wants to find something valuable, but I thought it would be cool if I could find just an old coin. But I had this second hope, and I don't know where it came from. I went, wouldn't that be cool if I could find something worthy of donating to a museum, maybe here in town? Never dreamed that it would be tied to someplace out of state. So this token was for the Peter Shuttler Wagon Company, and specifically for a man by the name of Herman Haas, who was an authorized dealer or agent for the Peter Shuttler Wagon Company out of Cheyenne, Wyoming territory.
Wow. Territory. Say that again.
Territory.
Cheyenne, Wyoming territory.
And it had a date of 1843. Now, that was the date that the company was founded. My guess was this coin was probably produced in the 1860s. It was produced by the same company, and it's leaving me, Tony, one of you might know, it was the same one that did, it's out of Connecticut. I think they did a lot of buttons. Really famous company.
Bradbury?
I
No.
can't
Westbury?
think something Berry. Something Berry. Anyway, and I found similar tokens. I believe there was another authorized agent out of some other state, but this one.
Scoville. Waterbury.
There you go. Thank you.
Waterbury. There you go.
Thank you.
No, Scoville.
Something water. Something berry.
So yeah, they produced these tokens, and my guess.
It's amazing, man.
You can watch this in the episode. This woman from the Wyoming State Museum just completely breaks down most of the history of not only Herman Haas but the Peter Shuttler Wagon Company, and then takes you down a rabbit hole I never dreamed possible, relating all the way back to Anheuser-Busch here in Fort Collins, Colorado. Blew my mind as I was doing the interview, because I didn't know any of this. I knew a little bit.
Tony, you got that link you can throw in the chat for this for this video of Michael's regarding the museum.
As you're telling the story, this is really a really incredible video and story, guys. I put the link in the chat there. Please go watch this video as Michael's telling it. This is insane. Continue. Yeah. Sorry for the interruption here.
Yeah.
Not at all. And thankfully, the one museum I contacted, I thought, well, I should contact an Old West museum, and I'm not going to say the name, but they kind of blew me off. Got to run around with them for a while, so I said, okay, I'm going to keep looking. And the Wyoming State Museum was just awesome. They responded quickly. They showed a deep interest, and they said, okay, we have to have a meeting about it. You can't just take new donations willy-nilly. So I had to wait patiently for a little while, but Jennifer was just awesome. She agreed to do an interview, and the rest you'll just have to watch on YouTube. But I'm not trying to promote my channel. What I'm saying is there's just too much to talk about.
And here's what's amazing about this, right? Sorry, Tony, excuse me.
No,
you now know probably so much about Herman Haas, don't you?
You
know what I mean?
Ridiculous. I very casually told one of my friends the other day a little history about this area. He was just kind of like, "Whoa, like okay, I get it. You know your history." And I'm like, "Oh man, did I just have diarrhea of the mouth?" And the answer was yes, I did. I just kind of vomited all the history. You want to share what you know, and I guess I'm probably a lot more interested than I realized.
Yeah.
Now, in hindsight, as I tell all these and regurgitate, hell, I've told some of these folks more history about their own backyards than they
right?
know. And these properties have been in the family for generations.